Well, I have always been interested in public policy and how public policy impacts everyday people. And so I grew up in the northeastern part of the state on a family farm and then eventually became a psychologist, as I shared with you before we got started. And doing direct services to children and families and young adults through my psychology work led me to believe how important public policy is in the lives of people. So it's really that experience in working directly with individuals that I realize how important public policy is and how it impacts everyday people. So that's what prompted me to get into this work. One of my
That's
mantras is like um, public service for the public good. I really believe in the importance of elected officials doing good things for the community. And that's what I'm trying to do as a county commissioner. And before I was a county commissioner, I served in municipal government. I served on the Apex Town Council, and I was elected there in 2019. And then an opening came up on the Board of Commissioners, and I ran for this seat in 2022. So I'm into my third year as a county commissioner.
so piggybacking off that, do you think you can give us a look into your daily life as commissioner and as the Health and Human Services Committee chair?
I will try to give you an overview. I will say the county commissioner work is very exciting and it's very broad. And briefly, our budget mostly comes from property taxes. And so we allocate funding for a lot of services for the people of Wake County. And so a big part of what we do is funding, is allocating funding to various needs. Just broadly and briefly speaking, there are three big buckets that we fund. One is public safety, and that includes the sheriff's department and all the Wake County EMS services, as well as some fire department services. The second big bucket that we fund is health and human services, which is public health and public behavioral health. And then the third big bucket is education. We fund a lot of education from preschool, from families that have lower incomes to K-12 education in Wake County schools, and also Wake Tech. Commissioners are supposed to fund the buildings, new buildings for our schools, as well as renovations. And the General Assembly is supposed to fund salaries. They have been underfunding over the past several years. So as a result, commissioners are also asked to step in and help pay for or help allocate funding for salaries as well. So currently the Wake County commissioners are not only paying for the buildings, but we're also paying for about a third of Wake County public school salaries. So those are big buckets that we fund. And we also fund libraries and the Animal Center and also the elections, our Wake County Board of Elections. So there's a lot that we fund. But in terms of day to day, instead of in making decisions about those things, we also attend a lot of ribbon cuttings and groundbreaking ceremonies for all kinds of businesses that are opening up. Um, any type of an event that is happening in our community with our business community, our nonprofit community, education related healthcare, we are often called to just be a part of partnerships and all the good things that are going on in Wake County. So our days are full, but it's a good busy. It's a very good busy.
That's great. It's really interesting to see like the inside of how being a commissioner is, like the backstage, I guess. Like,
Mhm.
Yes,
And
and you mentioned about Health and Human Services. I am the Health and Human Services Committee Chair. And so broadly speaking, that is looking at all of our public health services and all of our public behavioral health services. So we have a health department off of Sunnybrook Road. We also have 4 regional centers across the county, so we can provide services so that everybody doesn't have to come to Raleigh. So we provide a lot of public health and public mental health services. And my role as Health and Human Services chairperson is to sort of keep tabs on all of that that's going on. We have about 5,000 employees in Wake County government, and about 2,000 of those are in health and human services. So we have a lot of people working in social services, foster care services, helping with Medicaid expansion, signing people up for Medicaid. So a lot of great things going on, and our staff is doing just really good work every single day. And part of my work is to help us oversee that and keep tabs on how well it's going. Obviously, keeping tabs on the things that are going well, but things that are not going well, there's always room for improvement. So we're always working to see how we can always do better. The bottom line is trying to meet the needs of our residents as best we can.
yeah, definitely. Um, You mentioned like you partner with events and businesses and stuff. Are there any of these like events coming up?
Oh, always. They're year round. Yes. In fact, I was at and also we attend events with all of our municipalities. You know, we have 12 municipalities here in Wake County, so we have strong partnerships with them. And lots of times, our Chamber of Commerce's are having events all the time, highlighting the business community and also just sort of the state of the town, like how things are going. And like this morning, I was in Apex, listening to the mayor talk about the state of the town of Apex and things that are going well and what's on the horizon with transportation, the business community, how we're working to meet the needs of those that are in need with housing issues or behavioral health issues. So we do a lot of attending and listening to what's going well in our county, but also where the needs are to see how we can help address the needs because we want Wake County to be a place where all people can thrive.
Okay. And you also mentioned that like the commissioners partner with nonprofits. So can you expand more on how like Wake County can partner with nonprofits like Sage Tech?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're always, you know, the government can't do all things, you know, to in terms of meeting the needs. So that's where our nonprofit partners are really important. We have a number of nonprofits who are doing what I call boots on the ground work, you know, meeting the needs of residents, such as what your group is doing, for example, you know, trying to see a need and then trying to help address that need. So we rely on our nonprofit partners to help us meet the needs of our residents. And so it sounds like Sage Tech wants to do good work in that space, right? And working with seniors and people with disabilities with medical devices that they need. So I appreciate that partnership work that you're doing.
All right,
Um,
thank you for that. Moving on, do you have any suggestions on ways that we could better connect with those that have needs in the community?
Well, could I ask this? How are you finding out about people who might be in need of your services? Help me understand that.
So right now, we've looked at Good Hope Farm, and we've basically just been searching up stuff like senior centers in need, places that high schoolers can volunteer, and partnerships with our local Key Club, just to find
Mhm.
out various opportunities where people have something that they need to get done, and where high schoolers can help do it.
Mhm. Very good. I mean, I think it's possible that I could put you in contact with some of our staff who help could maybe help bridge you to some resources that might could help you. So I'd be happy after we're done if you want to reach out to me through email. I can maybe connect you with a staff person who could help you. I'm particularly in our Health and Human Services department. You know, there's also, I often think about faith communities. I don't know if you have any connections with different faith communities in the area. They would probably be top of mind in terms of knowing about people in need as well. But I could put you in contact with one of our Health and Human Services staff members too, who could possibly help you in that regard.
That would be
Um,
great. Thanks.
Sure. And you know, you may know this, a lot of the municipalities have senior centers, you know, that help provide all kinds of activities for residents. And that might be another resource that you could reach out to. A lot of our municipalities have senior centers.
That'd be
Yes,
really
sounds
nice of you.
good.
Um, Speaking of, are there any current or upcoming policies like specifically for addressing healthcare for senior citizens or healthcare in general?
Right. I would say when I was looking at your questions, two things that came to mind. Big policies are Medicaid expansion. I don't know if that's something you're familiar with or not, but North Carolina became the 41st state to expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act on December the 1st, 2023. So we just got through a whole year of signing people up who were income eligible for Medicaid expansion, which was huge. It's estimated that about 600,000 North Carolinians were eligible for Medicaid expansion statewide. And so in Wake County, our numbers are about at 44,000. So again, under Health and Human Services, our group, we're not the only group that helps to sign up people, but as a county, we've signed up about 44,000 people in this past year that now have access to health care through Medicaid expansion. So policy-wise, that's huge. And another important policy is the opioid settlement funds. And I don't know if that's something you're familiar with or not either, but that it was federal lawsuits that our Attorney General, now Governor Josh Stein, got North Carolina heavily involved in and really took a lead in that. And so, as a result of that opioid settlement funding, North Carolina is going to be getting over $1 billion to help prevent and intervene and treat people dealing with opioid disorder. And Wake County will be getting at least $65 million over about the course of about 18 years. So we'll be getting it over time. But we hired someone to help manage those funds for us, and we're very serious about it. We've already begun work on sort of laying a roadmap out about how we're going to work on prevention, intervention, and treatment for people dealing with opioid disorder. So those are two big policies that I think are going to be making a positive difference in people's lives.
Oh, that's great. Do you have any like personal views on these policies?
Do I have personal views?
Yeah.
My personal views are this is awesome, and and I'm grateful that I see this as an opportunity, a real opportunity to make a difference in people's lives. So I'm really excited about it because we have had people really in need. Unfortunately, we've lost a lot of people to opioid overdose, a lot of deaths, and so I'm really excited about these opportunities because I think it's going to really help make a difference in the quality of life for people.
Okay. And do you think these policies will affect like organizations like nonprofits in any way?
Yes, because with the opioid settlement funding, part of our role as the county government is we will allocate funding to nonprofits who are going to be doing the boots on the ground work with prevention and intervention and treatment for people dealing with opioid use disorder, for example. So we have already awarded some funding and we will continue to do that. We'll have these requests for proposals where people will submit how much money they're asking for and what they would do with the money, and also show us how they will measure, outcomes with the dollars that they get, and how will they report those outcomes back to us so we can see the impact of the work. So yes, that's going to be, I think, important work moving forward. We've already awarded some money, but those opportunities will come again in the future.
Okay. And you mentioned like boots on the ground volunteer work. So how do you think that like high schoolers like us or high schoolers watching can help contribute to that volunteer work?
Well, like I said, I'll be happy to put you in touch with some people on our staff, and they maybe can help give you some more direction on that. So I'll be happy to do that. And so I can put you in contact with a staff person. I would also recommend that you all reach out to maybe faith communities in the area. And I would also recommend you reach out to the senior centers in our municipalities, because I mean that's an audience there that you're trying to serve, and they would probably be able to also put you in contact with some people in need.
Okay. And do you think it's better for nonprofits to fundraise or do volunteer work?
Both. I'm a both and person. And so, yeah, I think both. I think some advice from me would be to think about what you can do, what you're able to do. We all have strengths and we all have limitations on what we can do. So I would recommend think about what you think is within your bandwidth to do, because I know you're students and you have other probably obligations and commitments. So think about what you all can do, what's realistic for you to do. But I think it's great that you're doing this work, and I think both probably would be important if you had the bandwidth to do both.
Thank you for that. So right now, I think our main strength is just the amount of people we have and our growing influence within the school. So because our main strength is manpower, I think would it be better for us to focus on hands-on work right now since we have more people and not as much money? And if so, would these faith organizations be better for coordinating that kind of work, or should we look to other sources?
That's a good point. I'm not sure, to be honest. What I might recommend, I'll connect you to some of our staff who might have some more expertise, and maybe maybe one of our staff people can help give you some guidance in that. Do you have any adults that are mentors with you in the work that you're doing or advisors in any way?
Yes, we have 3 adult advisors.
Okay. Do they have any insights or thoughts about that?
I know one of them is connected with, I think, Morrisville volunteering. And I think she volunteers at the garden.
Okay. Okay. And I think again, a lot of municipalities do have youth councils that you may be aware of. I think Cary has like a Cary Teen Council. I know Apex has a Apex Youth Council. I'm wondering if you've had an opportunity to plug into them or not either. They might be some resources, but nevertheless, I think plugging into faith communities, our senior centers, and I will connect you with a staff person too. And so maybe between those three will help give you some maybe guidance on how you might want to move forward.
Okay. Well, thank you for the advice.
Sure.
On a more personal note, can you give us some examples of important senior citizens in your life and how they've impacted you as a person?
Mm. There have been many, and I think some of the people that have impacted me the most are the people who have remained active, you know, into their older years and who have a lot of wisdom to share and just remain engaged and continue to think about ways they can plug in because I think our seniors do offer they know a lot of history. They've lived a lot of history, right? And they actually have a lot of advice for us if we would just take time to listen. And so I think it's really important that we respect our seniors and make space for them and listen to them. And that's what I try to do in my work. I think part of growing up in a rural community, I was really taught to respect the seniors and the elders in our community because they have a lot to offer. So I've had those values throughout my life. And so I try to carry those with me in the work that I do to take time and to listen to seniors because they often have a lot of wisdom that they can share with us.
That's really nice. How do you think that nonprofits like us can help benefit the seniors in our community, like
Mhm.
other ways other than fundraising and boots on the ground work?
Mhm. Well, again, I don't know how much bandwidth you will have, but I think, you know, just taking the time, you know, to hear their stories. And because we can learn a lot from one another if we just create space. And that really goes for all ages. If we just take time to build community and build relationship with one another, we really can learn from one another. And I think it also helps us not feel maybe isolated or alone. I think it just helps build community. And as a psychologist, I think it also helps mental health. It helps us with our mental health, right? To reach out and connect with all ages. So when you have space and time, not only to give maybe those devices or medical equipments that you're offering, also try to carve out space to just to get to know the people that you're working with and get to know their stories. And I bet they can learn from you, but you can probably learn from them as well.
Well, thank you for that. Would you like to share any messages with our audience about the importance of prioritizing healthcare and volunteer work towards seniors in need?
Mm. I just applaud you for wanting to do this work. I just really appreciate the fact that you want to do this work. And I think you're an example for other young people because I think it's really important that we all plug in and engage, you know, in our community. Um, Democracy in general is not a spectator sport. It's important to get involved in our communities and work to do good. I encourage everybody to find something and contribute, you know, contribute to our community. And it doesn't have to be a huge impact. Do even the small things mean so much. So I just say thank you for wanting to be involved in our community. Thank you for wanting to make a positive difference and just keep up the great work and do what you can do and reach out to people in the community like me who can maybe help bridge the gaps, maybe help bridge some gaps and maybe help build connections for you so that you can continue to do great things.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that ideology. Okay, well, thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. Before we leave, do you have any like final notes or anything?
Thank you for your persistence in reaching out to me and trying to get an interview.
Yeah.
Persistence is a good thing. So I appreciate your persistence in being patient with me and my calendar while we work this out. And I just again want to thank you for caring about your community and caring about our seniors. And you may know in Wake County, it's estimated that our senior population is really going to continue to grow, and that's going to be a trend throughout the country. And so it's really important that we be thinking about our seniors and what their needs are so that they can age in place and thrive in Wake County and beyond. So I just really appreciate all that you're doing. And don't hesitate to reach out to me if I can be of more service, but we will connect anyway. I'll connect you with the staff person that can maybe continue to provide some support to you.
Okay. Well, we thank you for your interest in Sage Tech Foundation. Um, and we look forward to possible future endeavors with you. Um, and yeah, I think that's all we have for today.
That sounds great. Thank you again, and we'll be in touch. Good luck to you in the work you're doing. I appreciate you all. All right,
You too.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Yeah.